of knowledge and for taking your precious time out of your busy schedule to come to Sri Lanka to talk today. Next up on the forum, we will invite Mr. Shaveen Fernando, President of IFMSL, and the immediate past President, Mr. Mohammed Ashik, to come on stage. They will be talking about architecture and facilities management, how they work together to enhance buildings, performance, and life cycle.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Shaveen here, representing the Institute of Facilities Management, and I have Mr. Mohammed Ashik as well, the immediate past president of Institute of Facilities Management, the only professional body for facilities management in Sri Lanka. And thanking the organizer also giving the opportunity and inviting us for the event today. And we will be just enlightening y'all on the topic architecture and facility management work together to extend a building's life cycle. So most of the construction and architecture related people are here, so you all are already aware what architecture is, and though architecture and facilities management both are in the same, they are two different professions, but will be engaged in the same field. So let me just enlighten you all on what facilities management is, because some may not be much aware of what facilities management is, why facilities management is required, when it is being used, and how it is being applied in a built environment. So facilities management is managing the support services in order to efficiently maintain, just to operate the core business of a built environment. The term built environment is really important. In here, people, processes, places, and technologies will be managed. So if you just have a look at the new facilities you have condominiums, shopping complex, massive shopping complexes, and then hospitals, hotels, so on. So all these has to be managed properly. So facilities management is, facility manager basically plays a key role in managing these facilities. And facilities management mainly focuses on hard and soft facilities management, which I will be explaining to you all in going forward, and real estate management, human resource management from top management up to the people who are doing the janitorial service cleaning of the lower level as well, and financial management, energy management, sustainability management, organizational management, building continuity strategies in case of recovery plan is required. So facilities management is being engaged in all these areas. So let me explain and briefly, enlighten you on the topic what hard facilities management is and what soft facilities management is, what aspects are considered under these two areas. So just imagine, just picture about a newly constructed facility or any big massive facility. So hard facility is mainly managing physical environment. In managing a built environment, under hard facilities management, we do have building maintenance, structural maintenance, air conditioning, HVAC systems, mechanical and electrical systems, CCTV systems, access control systems, and fire systems, so on. And under soft facilities management, managing people and organizations are being considered in here. Cleaning and janitorial services, waste management, space management, security services, health and safety, car park management, pest control, catering and vending, ground maintenance, so on. Those aspects are being considered. And if you discuss about the main pillars in facilities management, you do have focus on general administration and business, and mainly you do focus on operations, maintenance, and daily facilities management. And also there's another pillar which is focused on building design, construction, and renovation when it comes to facilities management, and then you have leadership and strategy aspects also considered. So if we just take facilities management, mainly During the pre-construction stage as well as the post-construction stage, the facilities management involvement would be happen. And it is always recommended if you can have the facilities management incorporated during the post-construction stage, where the designers, architects, engineers, facilities management all get together and design on the building, where they could manage the building in a long run, effectively, efficiently, in a sustainable manner. So architectural and facilities management for building performance is therefore very important, and we do therefore focus on a value-based facilities management roadmap in achieving this. So most of the people, organizations might be having a typical question on how architecture and facilities management work together to extend a building's life cycle. So I would invite Ashik, Mohammed Ashik, the former president of Institute of Facilities Management, in order to enlighten you all on this area. It's over to you, Ashik.
Thank you, Shaveen. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. So I hope Shaveen briefed you about what is facilities management is all about. So in simple terms, facility management is a pahasukam kalamana karane in Sinhala, and then in Tamil, Vasadigal Mugamettuvam we call it. So if you look at our houses, right? So my area is basically optimizing architecture into facilities management. So let's take a simple example. How our houses are designed. So probably you may be approaching an architect to design, this is the concept you want to have it. Probably you will say, I want this much of square feet, you have a landscape this much. So everything you give a kind of a briefing to the architect. So the client's wish, they will make sure, architect will make sure that will be transformed and it somehow materialize in a form of house. And then all the facilities, everything will be equipped into that. Right, so then you are happily living. Let's imagine that house lifetime is like 50 years. If you look at that 50 years, let's say after 10 years or so, if you go back and check whether the house is still at the same level or not, you may be saying maybe not. Because architecture had a dream and he developed it, but over the period of time it got evolved and it was not maintained properly probably. So as a result, now house is in a different shape. So what happens when architecture sees that? He will feel bad because this is how I developed it, but for some reason it was not maintained properly. From the client point of view, if you are an owner of the house, what you will feel? So every time then you will try to patch up the things. For example, you will paint it up once in 2 years or whatever it is. And the plumbing leak, drainage leak, and suddenly you will feel there are a lot of seepage taking place. And your electricity short circuiting. Probably, and you feel quite warm. These days the outdoor environment is quite warm. So what do you do? Basically you try to increase more air conditioning, or maybe you set the temperature to very low. So this is the situation you are facing in a house, right? So just take the same example in an office, in a building, a large building. So this issue will be, it's maybe more than 100 times, because the bigger the size, the bigger the problem is. So that's why the facility management concept is introduced in UK. Like 1970s, so it got evolved thankfully in Sri Lanka. The first batch in Moratuwa, they passed out in 2010. So that time onwards, we developed this facilities management, and we have an institute in Sri Lanka as well. That's where we come from. So what we do is, we'll make sure that house or the building, which is, there's an intention, there's an objective behind developing it, it's long last until the lifetime of the building. So if the house is developed for 50 years, make sure that 50 years the house is in that shape, or maybe it evolves in a positive way, where it brings a lot of benefits to your client, right? So with the client briefing, what happens? So what we advise is, when you are calling architecture as a client, you better also involve your facility manager also there, because they are the people going to run the building for 50 years. So when they also sits in a client briefing session, then they can understand. For a simple example I'm giving. So I have seen a lot of buildings here. So the priority is given for the aesthetic appearance, and then all the client, the usable space where the core business is taking place. If it is a bank, for example, where the customer comes, they do all the transactions. But if you look at that building to survive, you need a separate mechanical system. You need air conditioning, you need a lightning arrestor system, you need electrical system, plumbing system. So those plant rooms are kept somewhere hidden, somewhere else, right? So what happens when you are trying to maintain it? There was a building I can remember, there was a generator when we had a lot of power cuts, at that time people are talking about generator, the importance of generator. But as a facility management, we always say you give priority to your backup power because it's important. Power can be intermittent at any time. So if you are running at a loss, if your business cannot be performed, that will add a lot of losses to your building, your company. So what we do is, so there was a time where the generator was overrunning and you need to change the cylinder or the piston of the generator system, but there was not enough room to move around. You can't take the forklift in, you can't take the, crane in, whatever it is. So because that aspect was not considered. So that's why it's very important when facility manager got involved, so he can make sure those aspects also thought in without compromising the design. So that's why involved in, planning stage. And the durability. Sometimes when you're designing, client always say, okay, this is the cost I can afford, this is the budget you can afford. But if you look at the 50 years of the life cycle of that particular material, you may be adding a lot of cost for annual maintenance. That will be more than 90% than your initial cost. So client will be anyway incurring. So if you can add little bit more during your initial stage, and we can calculate and show you the 50 years of life cycle, how much the cost going to involve in each material, that will give you a real, cost and the benefit analysis. Then you can decide, right? So that's one of the area. Then the building systems, as I mentioned, so efficient air conditioning. Nowadays the utility bill is one of the factor we are talking about a lot, and also the water saving, because we are all running behind the sustainability element. Because if you don't save the planet, what will happen? So ultimately we have to face a lot of consequences, natural disasters. That's what we are currently seeing. So building systems should have energy optimization. So during the time of your design discussion, make sure you equip those also into the scene. So where as a facility manager, we can help you out in terms of the maintainability side. And the flexibility. Your building should be able to cope up with mechanical ventilation as well as natural ventilation. Sometimes you may be saying that, okay, I can have a windows this side, not the other side, but the cross ventilation matters. Maybe architecture wanted client to understand this, but the client may be saying, no, I can't afford extra, windows there, so you just stick to one side. But it's not the case. When you have a cross ventilation, that will reduce your heat gain. You can manage without air conditioning. So that will reduce your energy bill. So that's another area. So you can see when facility manager incorporated with architect, during the initial stage, there are a lot of benefits for the client. And this is another area. So you can see here, so life cycle of the building. It's not that, you're investing something and then you just wait until it's, that end of lifetime. It's not the case. If you can push that life cycle slightly more, like rather than 25 years, if you can push it to another 5 more years, you don't need to extract extra raw material from the environment, virgin material from the environment to, build another one, where you are unnecessarily putting a pressure on the resource, where it should be kept for the younger future generation, right? So don't waste the material. That's the concept this facility manager bring in by trying to, enrich the life cycle of this. So luckily this is the final slides. I know people are really waiting, and thanks for that, for patience. So this is the system we are talking about, bringing the AI into the facility management, artificial intelligence. So I know when you go to different malls, you would have seen people are now playing games with, VR, virtual reality, and then some are playing with AR, augmented reality, where virtual reality, so you can create a world, virtually, and then you can identify where the areas. Before you design something, you can make sure how it looks like, and you can change the systems there and there. And then you have a mixed reality, where you bring augmented and virtual reality together to build a system where you can visually see, this is how the building going to be, this is my house going to be, this is the systems going to be, right? So what we are suggesting is, at the time of the inception stage, make sure you bring this building information modeling, BIM we call it, bring into that. So you automate everything, you factor everything. So if you take this building, for example, this space, if there's one bulb is not working, if it is fused, you don't need to worry about. So if you just scan that, okay, this is the bulb, it was purchased this particular year, this is the place where we got, still the warranty term is there, so you don't need to worry about, you can immediately change. What if you have to take out, and then you have to find the serial number, then you are asking somebody from the procurement team, okay, from where this has been purchased, can you do something? So see the time of you are spending to find out where this was purchased. So that was the biggest challenge. So with this building information modeling, your carpets will be, you know, all the information will be there. You can find out, okay, when you need to do a carpet shampooing, is there any health and safety issues? Anybody trip when you're coming in? There are a lot of health hazards there. So we make sure whether that entrance is always creating a problem by having a lot of trip hazards, health and safety incident reporting, then our system will show there's a problem, then we can re-look at it. Likewise, every element can be automated and then we can optimize. So with that, client can easily save cost from their support services. So it can add more profit to the core business. You don't need to unnecessarily wastage your material and money. So this is the concept of facility management. So I'll stop here. And we are the Institute from Facilities Management Sri Lanka, as I mentioned before. You can log into our website and find out. So we are happy to provide whatever the information you need to save our planet. Thank you very much.